Zach, you talk often about buyer personas and how important they are, but what are they, right? What are buyer personas? And we may have heard kind of two terms when it comes to this: buyer personas and then ideal customer profile. And there are differences, but to me, I want to keep it very simple, very concise here. And I think part of that is, a buyer persona is just a fictional, generalized representation of your ideal customers that are segmented in a way that allows you to communicate directly to that audience. So I'll give you an example, right? A buyer persona could be a sales leader, and from a job title standpoint, that could be chief sales officer, vice president of sales, director of sales, senior vice president of sales, right? But they're bucket into sales leader. Then I go one layer deeper into the manufacturing vertical. So now I've got sales leaders in manufacturing. The next layer I might go is company size. Hey, we want to target middle market vice president or sales leaders in manufacturing. Well, I'll define middle market as 500 to 1,000 employees. And then we go geographic, right? So they're in the US. All of a sudden, I've started to get more granular, more focused, more intentional about a specific target persona. And as an organization, there's no right or wrong on how many you should have. Some of these people are the ultimate decision maker. Some of them might be a champion or an internal influencer. The goal is to build up these personas both at that level, so title, geography, company size, whether that's revenue or headcount, vertical, and then you get into, well, what's a day in their life look like when it comes to headwinds and problems they face that your organization is uniquely positioned to solve? And when I develop buyer personas, I keep this very simple. I use a Google Sheet. I've got structured columns for each persona. And then I really try to get inside the mind of either my customer or my prospect when it comes to those headwinds, right? And I start to make bullets. I just start to type and think through and talk with my team about, hey, what are these people facing? When we have sales conversations, what do they come to us for? What do we assume they're coming to us for from a problem standpoint that we're uniquely positioned to solve? So now I've got their headwinds. Then I can start to lay out, well, how are we uniquely positioned to solve that, right? What services, features, benefits from a communication standpoint, both on the sales and marketing perspective, do we help solve? And now you start to shape up marketing messaging, positioning, sales messaging, and even targeting within those buyer personas. So I'll get into some videos inside of Apex Collective around, how do you start to actually create a persona? How do you manage that? And again, it's nothing fancy. I've done this for billion-dollar organizations, and I've done it for companies that are doing $100,000 in revenue. The outcome is the same. We need to really understand, segment our audiences, understand who's the ultimate decision maker, who can be an influencer or champion, and really try to get inside the mind of our customers, future customers, and prospects. I get asked often, hey Zach, why before we do all this fancy marketing, fancy sales stuff, why do you stop us as part of your early work and really get deep into buyer personas? And I want to just share why buyer personas are important. And I think there's really 4 core reasons. So, number one, it helps get you inside of the mind of your customer. And, everyone sometimes gets so excited about their products and features. They want to be everything for everyone. Well, what happens is their marketing messaging is everything for everyone. That's not the way to approach both marketing and sales. So when you can get really granular with your personas from a decision maker perspective, from an influencer, an internal champion, and get into job titles, get into verticals, right? So what is a sales leader in a manufacturing organization? What is a day in her or his life like? What headwinds are they experiencing that we're uniquely positioned to solve? I need to get into their mind as much as I can, so when I communicate to them, whether it's through marketing messaging or sales messaging, they feel like I know their world, right? That is super, super important. So the ability to kind of segment and isolate and really understand your ideal customer profiles or your buyer personas, it's kind of an interchangeable term in my opinion, allows you to get really, really involved with getting inside the mind of your customer. And it translates to number 2. When you segment your buyer personas, sales leaders in manufacturing, all of a sudden you start to have the mold of a campaign. Now I can go to LinkedIn and I can plug in sales leaders as a job title, and I can select manufacturing as a vertical. Then my messaging can be catered towards that audience. So I'm spending dollars more efficiently and more effectively once I understand and know my buyer personas. Again, this segues into number 3. Getting inside the mind of your customer should translate into really understanding the headwinds they face, the problems they face, and how your company is uniquely positioned to solve those problems. And that's where all of your messaging comes from. Your marketing messaging, your collateral, your ad design, your copy, your sales conversations, your sales collateral, your presentations, all should revolve around those buyer personas, whether they're by job title, whether they're by vertical. That's mission critical. Then I love number 4. When we do buyer persona workshops, we get both marketing, senior leadership of course, but marketing and sales in the same room to talk through these buyer personas, because sales might be exposed to things that marketing has no clue that they're exposed to because they're so close to the customer, so close to the prospect. So that communication, that facilitation builds great alignment within the organization. So this is something you cannot forget about, cannot miss when you start to build a marketing program, marketing strategy. That's why these are so important.